Emily Dawson.
And I'm Jordan Wong.
I'm Emily Peterson.
I'm Alex Catlett. I'm Ryan Watson.
I'm Kendall Mendoza.
I'm Jared Green.
And I'm Tal Cram.
The problem of class of study is the elimination of library technicians and most importantly the process used to make that. Our problem has two main points. First, a lack of representation, and second, a lack of money.
On March 2nd, 2010, our school board voted to cut library technicians when they passed resolution number 48. This resolution will help our district, or will help the district balance their budget for the 2010 through 2011 school year and remain financially solvent. We understand the need to make cuts. However, we take issue with the process being used to make these cuts.
The Budget Reduction Committee and the Finance Committee are the two main groups proposing budget cuts to the Elk Grove School Board. The school board has the authority to authorize the district's budget and budget cuts. In an email we received May 7, 2010 from Shirley Lalo, Administrative Assistant in Fiscal Services, she informed us that, quote, on the Finance Committee, there are currently 7 committee members. 6 of the 7 have students in the district, and 3 of them sit on the Budget Committee. Some of the employees who are part of the Budget Committee are also parents of district students, but I do not know how many, end quote. This tells us there are not many parents who have been involved in the budget cut process. We feel a 3-minute limit on public speakers at school board meetings does not offer enough time for parents and students to speak their minds regarding budget cuts.
Additionally, the Finance Committee has created bylaws that they don't even follow. There are supposed to be 9 high school students on the Finance Committee. Most of them are consistently not showing up. The Finance Committee bylaws state, quote, 2 unexcused absences will result in recommendation to the board that a committee member be replaced, end quote. Most students have missed more than 2 meetings, yet they are still on the committee, which means students' voices are not being represented. The Finance Committee follows the Brown Act, which governs all open meetings. An open meeting is open to the public. Not all meetings are open. Some are closed or private.
Adults chosen to serve on the Finance Committee are seconded by board members. They serve 2-year terms. They represent the region in which they live. The superintendent can appoint 2 adults to the committee. Article 7, Sections 1 and 2 of the Finance Committee bylaws say that when vacancies arrive, the seats should be filled by new appointees.
We have learned by reading the minutes of the Finance Committee that vacancies are not being filled, which means parents' voices are not being represented. The board members that aren't filling the positions are William Lugg Jr. and Pamela Irie. Dr. Stephen Ladd, our superintendent, didn't fill his 2 vacancies. Another important committee is the Budget Reduction Committee. It includes 45 people who can join only if they're invited. Members' terms are indefinite.
There are no minutes for the Budget Reduction Committee's meetings available to the public because there are no minutes recorded. There was no opportunity for public comment. Votes cast by this committee are not cast in public. Meetings are not public. They're not recorded. Notes and materials from these meetings are not made available to the public.
We feel this violates the Brown Act. The Brown Act regulates open standing committees. The Finance Committee follows the Brown Act. Why doesn't the Budget Reduction Committee?
The budget must be in compliance with the educational code. If a school district does not balance its budget, a county superintendent, according to educational code 42127.1.a, quote, has the authority and responsibility to ensure that a balanced budget is adopted for the school district, end quote. If the Elk Grove School District does not solve the problem of balancing its budget, the county will step in.
The second main part of our problem concerns a lack of money. EGUSD has to cut $60.5 million for the 2010 through 2011 school year because the state has been slashing the education budget to balance their own budget. The district, parents, students, and civil society groups such as SupportCaliforniaKids.org have been lobbying or trying to persuade the state to fully fund education. Unfortunately, the state continues to make cuts to education, which forces districts like ours to make cuts. Again, we understand the need for our district to make cuts, but we don't agree with what they're cutting or how they're doing it.
We now like to hand it over to our colleagues with the alternative policies.
Hello, I'm Alex Catlett.
And I'm Emily Peterson. Our first alternative policy is for the Elk Grove Unified School District to help fundraise money to save our library technicians. The HUST has already set a precedent, for example, of fundraising for sports. The district website has linked to the athletics page, which states, quote, the district is seeking to raise $700,000 in donations through the VAC plan, end quote. The VAC is a, quote, voluntary athletic contribution, end quote, paid by a family of athletes. It is, however, completely voluntary.
Also, a small group of library technicians recently formed the Let's campaign. Let's stands for Library Technicians Empower Today's Students. Let's is trying to encourage students to donate $28 per student. With over 60,000 students in the Elk Grove Unified School District, That's enough money to save all library technicians for one more year. They have asked the district to put a donate link on the district website to support their efforts like the support of sports. Starting the week of May 17, 2010, the Elk Grove School District website created a donate button to raise money for our library techs.
The main disadvantage is we probably won't be able to raise enough money to completely pay for all our library technicians. Our second alternative is for the Elk Grove Unified School District to dedicate money from their energy savings program to saving library technicians.
On March 3, 2009, the district created an energy conservation program designed to save energy and water.
To encourage schools to save energy, the district is offering some of the money schools save back to the school sites. We propose these savings to be directed towards saving library technicians. Saving energy is good for the district's wallet and good for the planet, but the main disadvantage is we probably won't be able to save enough money to completely pay for all our library techs. If our school meets our energy savings goal, however, the district will give us a maximum of $3,500. A library technician is about a $35,000 position. Also, principals might not support this idea, since it would be limiting their freedom to spend their funds on other things their school needs.
Our third alternative is for the bargaining units and school districts to negotiate concessions to be dedicated for saving library techs. Concessions means giving something up like increased co-pays, salary cuts, giving up lottery checks, laying off staff, caps on salaries, and accepting furlough days. A furlough day is an unpaid day off. Each furlough day saves about $1.25 million from the district's budget. A tentative agreement between our district and the teachers union for next year has 9 furlough days. This will save the district about $11.25 million. We suggest that a full or partial furlough day be dedicated to saving library technicians. Most library technicians could be saved by just dedicating one furlough day.
The main disadvantage to this policy is the district and teachers union just completed a very difficult negotiation process. To change this agreement, negotiations would have to be reopened. That's why the district might oppose this policy. They might prefer to use the money from concessions to save teachers and other things before saving library technicians. Teachers may also oppose this idea, since they have made concessions totaling over $20 million. They would most likely want that money to be used for things in their interest, not in the interest of library technicians. Many might say that if they make the concessions, they should get the benefit.
Our fourth alternative is for the district to cut something else besides library technicians. For example, board member stipends, district cards for student employees, etc.
We, the students, propose to the district to cut something else. Library technicians would likely support this along with many teachers, parents, and students. Cutting all funds for library techs guarantees we will not have library technicians next year. If we make across-the-board cuts, however, we could guarantee to save at least a few library techs. Our final alternative is for the district to eliminate some library technicians and keep some to rotate between schools.
Library technicians have proposed this idea to the district. Rotating people between schools has been done before with other jobs like school psychologists, nurses, and vice principals.
The main benefit is the district saves money by using a person in more than one school, and we still have a library technician to check out books part of the time.
If we rotate library technicians, it means we're eliminating some of them. Some library technicians might not support this policy because they might not want to rotate or they might be the ones getting cut. Also, the district might oppose this policy because rotating library technicians means keeping some of them, and this will cost money. Right now, the district is eliminating all library technicians to save money. The district's main focus is saving money to stay solvent or financially alive.
Now we will hand it over to our colleagues in our policy.
Hello, I'm Ryan Watson.
And I'm Kendall Mendoza.
We think the best public policy to deal with this problem has multiple components. First, we think the Elk Grove School District should help fundraise money for library technicians as much as they have helped raise money for sports. The district seems to have advertised budget cuts for sports more than they have advertised cuts to library techs. Though the district has created a donate button for library technicians, they have failed to widely advertise it. Second, we think the district should dedicate energy savings money toward library technicians. This program will provide the schools approximately $100,000 to share. This money could be dedicated to restore 4 library technicians' jobs, but not all of them.
Third, the district and various bargaining units have been negotiating concessions. We suggest a portion of a furlough day be directed toward library technicians. Each furlough day saves the district approximately $1.25 million. An entire furlough day could save most library technicians, but not all. Fourth, we think the district should keep some library technicians and have them rotate between schools. This is not ideal, but it's better than cutting all library technicians.
Fifth, and most importantly, we think students' and parents' voices have not been heard enough throughout the process of suggesting budget cuts. We learned in an email from Shelley Lawler in EGUSD Fiscal Services that, quote, Finance Committee members are appointed by the superintendent and school board. Finance Committee members have a 2-year term. One student representative from each high school is selected to participate on the Finance Committee. Student representative is selected by the school they attend. End quote. The Finance Committee falls under the regulation of the Brown Act. This California state law governs open meetings for local government bodies.
The Brown Act requires certain government groups to allow the public to comment on agenda items, provide minutes and records of their open sessions to the public upon request, cast votes in public, allow meetings to be video or audio recorded, and report on actions taken during closed sessions under specified circumstances. The Budget Reduction Committee has not done any of the above. Is this not an official committee? Why aren't they subject to the Brown Act? We emailed these questions to Shelley Lawler, who forwarded our email to Rich Fagan, Interim Director of Fiscal Services. He has failed to respond.
The Finance Committee is subject to the Brown Act.
However, we've learned by reading their minutes that they are not following their own bylaws. Bylaws state that a staff liaison will inform the board when there are vacancies on the committee. Either the liaison is not doing their job, or the school board is not listening, since there are 4 vacancies unfilled for all of the 2009. 2 vacancies were not filled by our superintendent. The other 2 were not filled by 2 school board members.
We propose the Budget Reduction Committee should be changed. They should record their minutes, there should be formal bylaws, members should be appointed instead of invited, members should have a definite term, students should be selected for an advisory position similar to how they should be selected to serve on the Finance Committee. We feel there must be oversight of the Budget Reduction and Finance Committees.
There are various advantages for our proposed policy. First, fundraising to pay for library technicians generates money outside the budget. This is good because it doesn't add to the district's debt.
Second, using energy savings money to fund library technicians would allow library techs to receive a fraction of the $1.25 million saved in just 1 furlough day. Third is to dedicate energy savings money toward library technicians.
Fourth, increasing the number of parents and students on the Finance and Budget Reduction Committee would give the committees and the district a different perspective on our financial situation. Finally, by amending the Finance Committee's bylaws and forcing the board and superintendent to replace absent members quickly, it makes a full committee, which means everybody's voices are heard.
There are some disadvantages to our policy. First, it's possible to fundraise money to save library technicians. But is it probable? Raising $1.7 million before July 1, starting in June, is most likely not going to happen. Fundraising is unpredictable, though.
Second, some principals would not like to give up their share of the energy savings money to library techs. They would like to use this money for other things for their school sites. Third, if we are to use money from concessions, all of the bargaining units must agree to dedicate the money from a full or partial furlough day to library techs. This is possible, but hard to achieve. Negotiating this year has been challenging. Nothing has been easy this year.
The level of government that would be responsible for carrying out our proposed policy will be the special district level of government, the Elk Grove Unified School District.
The Budget Reduction Committee and Finance Committee are district committees. The Finance Committee is authorized by Article 1, Section 1 of the EGUSD Finance Committee bylaws. We believe these committees could recommend not to cut library technicians.
We feel our policy is constitutional. Some might argue that Part 3 of our proposed policy might violate a person's right to property. We suggested a partial or full furlough day be used to save library technicians. This is something that would have to be negotiated by both the school district and bargaining units.
Our proposed policy does not violate anyone's freedom of expression. In fact, the most important part of our policy is trying to increase the voices of students and parents in our district. By adding more students and parents to the Finance and Budget Reduction Committees, we hope that they will represent our interests more.
We would now like to hand it over to our colleagues in the Action Plan Group.
Hello, I'm Tal Pham.
And I'm Jared Green. The main activity of our plan involves persuading the Elk Grove School District Board of Education to approve our policy. To do this, we could do several things. We could write letters to the board informing them of our policy and inviting them to come to our classroom to learn more.
We can go to school board meetings and present our proposed policy. Since there is a 3-minute speaking rule, we will need to be placed on the meeting's agenda so that we can have more than just 3 minutes to express ourselves. The person to contact for this is Arlene High, Administrative Assistant to Dr. Ladd, our Superintendent. We can notify the 960 members of our Save Elko School District Library Technician Facebook page and tell them about our proposed policy. They can help us lobby the school board.
We can contact the media to publicize our policy. The more the public knows about what we're proposing, the more they can pressure the school board.
There are several influential individual groups and government officials who might be willing to support our proposed policy.
Parents, students, teachers, library technicians, and some district barn units might support us. Civil society groups such as Support California Kids Reduction Process might also want to keep library technicians and make budget reduction process more open.
Another group who might support us is the media. 10 and 11-year-old kids getting involved in government is a lot more interesting story than adults being involved in government. Once we share with the public what we have learned about how the Budget Reduction Committee operates, our superintendent and school board might feel pressure to increase students' and parents' voice in both the Finance and Budget Reduction Committees.
It would be in their interest to support kids who are speaking up and looking for answers as we are. We are asking for more responsibilities and more representation. There will probably be some influential individuals, groups, and government officials who might oppose our proposed policy.
Some school board members may not agree with what we're doing. For example, William Love Jr. stated in an email, "Well, the subject you and your class have selected is related directly to collective bargaining issues that are currently being considered by the district and its bargaining units." End quote.
He feels that we don't have the authority to influence the district and bargaining units' negotiations. Also, some members in the Finance and Budget Reduction Committees might not agree with our ideas. They might agree with Mr. Love that this is something that we should not get involved in. Also, they may want their committee's composition not to change. Some bargaining units, such as the teachers union, might not support us. They may not want to give up money from the concessions they negotiated to save members in another union.
If we rally people to support our policy, public pressure might make the EGUSD school board and our superintendent do what we want. If they don't, they risk being voted out of office. School board members are leaders. They make policies. They should represent our interests. Even though we're kids, we have an interest in participating in our government too. It's easy to ignore a few people, but it's hard to ignore thousands. We don't want to be ignored anymore. This concludes our presentation. We are now ready for any questions and comments you may have.